So yesterday I showed you our Morello cherry tree, and today I'm showing you the Stella cherry tree. Now this Stella cherry tree is actually a eating cherry, and this year it's flowered at about the same time as the Morello, which is slightly unusual. Quite honestly, most years it would be a little bit ahead, because you can expect to eat these cherries in probably late June, early July, whereas the Morello cherries, you're normally expecting to be eating those in early August. But this year it's decided to flower pretty similar time, and again this is a beautiful, beautiful tree to grow. I bought this tree from Chris Bowers Nurseries in the Isle of Wight, and I forgot to mention on yesterday's video that actually I also bought the Morello cherry trees from there as well. If you buy from this nursery, you actually often get quite a small tree. When it arrives, you often think, oh gosh, I could have bought something much bigger from a garden centre, and you know, that's true. But they do pride themselves on this nursery in actually supplying trees that are full of vigour, and certainly I can vouch that here we are 30 years later, and a most magnificent tree. If I just come back a little bit, you'll be able to see just how enormous this tree actually is. I mean, it's magnificently huge. And again, just like the Morello cherry tree, very little work has gone into this tree at all. In fact, to be honest, apart from a very little amount of pruning, which you can only do in the summer, by the way, the same thing with Morellos as well. If you prune any kind of cherry in the winter, you're going to risk it getting diseases. So if you look up here, you can see the canopy of this tree is really, really high, right up to the sky. I would think it's 15 foot tall. It's actually on colt rootstock, which is the same as the Morello cherries as well. You can buy a much smaller tree, which would be the gazelle rootstock, and that sort of size of a cherry would probably be able to be, I should say, probably grow much less in height, probably 8 feet or something like that. But of course you can prune even a colt cherry to be a more manageable tree if you want it to be. I have got a baby one over here. That one is the Stella. I'll just go over here and show you a slightly different variety called Summer Sun. This tree I purchased about 5 or 10 years ago, and this is a much smaller tree at the moment, but it will become as big as its sister over there within a few years. This one I purchased from a local nursery, which I do like to support local nurseries as well, because obviously they do need our help to keep going. And you can also purchase some really, really good trees from Blackmore Nurseries and Pomona Fruits, and quite a lot of other online sources for these trees. And one of the most wonderful things about these trees is, as I said yesterday, they really do need very little care. If I show you the close-up of this blossom, it's absolutely gorgeous, and it is really good because, again, it's perfect for birds. Birds love sitting in these trees. They are a slightly different framework from the Morello cherry in that they're more sturdy branches. They have less intricacies in their branches, but still there's plenty of space in here for any kind of bird to get some shelter. It's not quite as densely packed with twigs and things, but still pretty good. So here we are in April, still lovely weather here in Essex, and this tree will probably be in flower now for another couple of weeks. And then what I'll do is I'll come back, as with the Morello, and show you the cherries as they form, and also when they're actually ready. It's amazing how many cherries this tree holds. I mean, you're talking buckets and buckets of cherries. You need a lot of patience if you're going to stone them, but they're absolutely delicious straight off the tree. Of course, one of the things that is true for Morello cherries and also for cooking cherries and also for eating cherries is that you will have a race on with the birds. And of course, I've let this tree get so big that you couldn't possibly net it. But if you were growing cherries commercially, you would have to think about that, because they really do eat an awful lot of them. But to be honest, I don't mind. One of our philosophies in this garden has always been, we share it with the birds, we share it with the bees, and we share it with any wildlife. So, you know, if they have a few, well, so be it. I'm happy. But there is nothing nicer than cherries. And as I said yesterday, the morello cherry grows on a north-facing wall quite happily, although it can grow quite happily in the sun. But for dessert cherries such as Stella, you have to site them in a sunny position. They will not grow any other way. So there we are. Stella cherry, absolutely lovely and full blossom.